Hey everybody, Adam Savage in my cave with Norm Chan.
Adam,
Star Wars
model kits.
Yeah. This is really exciting. Was it last year or a couple years
I
ago?
feel like 2 years ago now.
A while back, I built this beautiful studio scale AT-AT from Merlin Models. And with your guidance, I gave Luke an actual lightsaber. I am really pleased with this build. Their castings are super crisp.
That was the thing. Not only did it end up being a fun build, but like when you unboxed the whole thing, you were so impressed by the quality of their casting. Like, almost zero cleanup.
It's almost zero. And I've spent my whole life building garage kits, which is like, you know, resin and sometimes the diesel resin, which smells terrible and is oily, and you've got to clean up tons and tons of flashing. None of that here.
Yeah. And when at the time you built this, we didn't let folks know out there. People asked, who made this kit? And the maker said, okay, you can share our name. It's Merlin Models. They make high quality studio scale fan kits. And this, while being a posable AT-AT, was their first model kit. Yeah. Didn't have like the same armature construction.
No, it's all plastic.
Right.
There's no metal going on in here.
Yes.
But that's all about to change.
Yeah. They've done some product development and they have a new AT-AT, which we're rebuilding today. This is their ESP Empire Strikes Back AT-ST.
Walker. Right, the chicken walker. What a lot of people call a chicken walker.
Yeah. All right, let's pop open the box, take a look.
First of all, I love this new reality with the Velcro.
Yeah.
Everyone's securing all their foam with Velcro, and it's really nice.
I mean, we're no longer getting garage kits that are just baggies, Ziploc baggies of parts. Oh, look at this. As we pull these parts out, we'll start talking about the kind of R&D process they did to get to this kit. Yeah.
Dude. Oh my gosh.
Is that a rubber part?
It is a rubber part. I don't know whether that's cast or printed. Wow.
That's got to be cast.
That's got to be cast.
Yeah, we did a call with Justin and Ethan to learn about how they develop these kits. We've seen AT-ST kits from 1/48 scale from Bandai. Oh my God, is that cast?
No, I think is
that bent metal?
Wait. Yeah, I think that might be metal.
Wow.
Yeah.
Their goal with this was to make it as much as the original ILM Model Shop experience, what that team would have been like putting together a model kit. Now, obviously, they've done some sub-assemblies, right? They're not going to the original constituent donor parts, but they've done the research. I mean, there's obviously
they know every greebly that was used from every kit that was right. Like
they've talked to the experts.
Oh my God.
Oh yeah, like this clearly, like the back, like this is an engine part, right?
Yep. And it nests in here, like, oh yeah. There's something I can't remember how it goes, but oh man, that is really beautiful.
These are clean.
And they're, if I remember correctly, they said they're limiting the number of castings per mold to a very small number to ensure a super high quality.
That's right.
Because when you cast resin and silicone, it tends to leach out some of the silicone, and when you're high cycling a silicone mold, it can make it get much more brittle, and then you get broken pieces. And every one of their pieces is like, there's a mold maker's axiom, which is you should be able to clean up the flashing with your thumbnail. You should be able to just scrape it along an edge and get rid of whatever extra casting material might be there.
And there's no flashing on it.
None.
Yeah.
No
pre-cleaned up. Let's pull out as many of these baggies to display and null out.
Yeah.
I mean, when I say they did the research, people have done the research.
Yes.
Right? Builders for decades have scrutinized screenshots, books, to find out which model kit parts were used to make the original, stop motion miniature.
Look at that!
Oh, you hear that,
dude? Wow, that is one of the best sounds I've ever heard opening a model kit.
And I think that's their big difference here is that they went to design an armature that we're going to be putting together.
So this is animatable.
I think so.
You think we can tune this? I mean, just to be clear, for those watching. When the AT-STs and the AT-ATs are on screen, those are being physically animated by a team of animators, moving each one some tiny bit per shot. And in order to make something animatable, it's not just about giving it a metal armature. You actually want to tune that metal armature. And the tuning is different for every animator, but so that if they move this leg, they know that the right amount of screws will move with the right amount of force. So it does a lot of their work for them. So the tunability and sensitivity of being able to adjust the pressure on the joints is paramount. I'm really curious if we can get there. That is really something else. I mean,
cool
right
to
there
the
would
touch.
take me a couple of hours to produce just that one piece. On a good day, it would take me a couple hours.
You know, a part like this, right?
Yeah.
Where the community has figured out what that original donor model kit was.
Right.
That's
What part of which donor kit, et cetera.
Right. You know, it might be some Ferrari model, right? From
Yeah.
from the 70s. Probably not still in production, not issued.
Oh, yeah.
And to find an original model kit part could be thousands of dollars.
Yeah, there's famously, I think, on the Millennium Falcon on the right side, just across the ship from where the bridge is, there is a transmission from a Porsche. And those kits, they're sold almost entirely just for that one engine piece.
That is quite a flex if you have a several $100 or $1,000 model kit part for your kit bash.
Right.
For your accurate kit bash. That's not what's happening here. I think what they've done is they've actually found the part, they have purchased the part,
Right.
and then they've re-digitally modeled them, measured to many degrees of accuracy with calipers.
And then they're building this digitally and printing it on a resin printer and casting.
Exactly.
Right.
That's
so
exactly.
they're masters. I wonder if they're even casting in like mold keys into their master mold patterns. Obviously, that's some inside baseball. On the original model, I guarantee you this is like Plastruct 8C channel, and that was hand bent by somebody, and they've actually molded the bend in. Dude, I'm so blown away by the fit and finish of these metal parts. It is so beautiful, and I think actually they've got some stuff that is steel that might have probably been aluminum in the real thing.
And you were pointing out, because you've been doing your own build of a tippet armature.
Yes,
right?
yes,
and
yes.
some of the linkages there.
This linkage is exactly bigger scaled up, is found in the neck of his first T-Rex armature from Jurassic Park. And this is a classic armature clevis. So you've got clearly something sits here in the middle, but it's got this split down here so that you can actually get a very adjustable pressure on these two lobes. And I don't think this is what fits in there, because specifically they would be going with something that was a nice tight fit. That's probably, yeah, there you go. Something like that with a couple of washers. And that gives the animator that control I was talking about. But it's so hilarious to see this part. I've made 4 of those last week.
Oh, so many tiny pieces. There are springs that are used as hoses.
Yeah.
And even the cast pieces, sub-assemblies are done, but there's still
Look at that.
tons of tiny parts.
How do you get that out of a mold without shattering it? Just that one part right there. A mold maker would be like angry at you if you brought this to the mold room. You'd be like, I need 20 of those.
If you're familiar, of course, with the ATSC, this is the Empire Strikes Back version, which, as they were making the film, it wasn't originally planned to be in the shot.
It was cobbled together.
And I think Lucas saw it on build table and said he wanted it, and you can see, I think, when Luke is, after his snowspeeders crash, and he's in the foreground, you see it walking in the background.
Oh, that's right. It's just like
so
a little bit of
taller,
noise.
a little more Ralph McQuarrie design, and something will be interesting when we get to the end that's different about this than the Return of the Jedi one. The build process, they included a manual,
Yep.
there's a PDF, but Merlin Models also has on their YouTube channel the actual build guide.
A step-by-step video guidance about how to do this.
We'll be watching that video and doing our assembly, but we'll do plenty of check-ins as we complete sub-assemblies to let you out there know how we feel about these parts.
Dude, right now I feel so good about these parts. It's just I have the highest hopes for how quickly this will go together.
And Adam, you have one, and I have one.
Dude.
So let's get to building.
Yeah, Star Wars Nerd Fantasy Camp Day. That's what this is.
Tuesday.
And I was doing a cross pattern make sure that all the screws get aligned. Doesn't take much Loctite to work. And just be aware that these black screws with the Loctite are going to be in there, so do not expect to be able to get them back out. Okay, next. We're going to go ahead and attach our axles. This is what's going to hold our legs together. We have found through putting 5 or 6 of these together that there is some discrepancy between the diameters of the axle or the diameter of the hole.
So you had a little bit of a looser fit than I did.
Yeah.
So I actually have 1,000th thick shim stock. And with just this little tiny piece, I was able to actually get a nice friction fit on that.
Wow. That's increasing diameter by
1,000.
1,000.
Actually, it's increasing the diameter by half a thou,
yeah.
which is 12 microns.
Oh my God. It's got a 4 millimeter wide piece, long.
Oh, yeah, sorry. Guidance. When you're doing a shim stock like this, have it come out proud of the tip, like this, and then you feed that in first, and then the tip, and let it all sort of ride in together. And then when you get the screw in there, you should be able to tighten that down.
Oh yeah! Wow! Oh my God!
Significant. Yeah, shim stock is like a couple dollars. It's totally reasonable to have some in the house.
That's
these
great.
are identical, right? Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Grab one screw from D, and we'll go ahead and put that in there.
Oh, yeah.
And we're going to need to switch our bit.
The Loctite we're using for this is Loctite 243, which is a basic bread and butter high strength. There are some almost permanent Loctite solutions. This is a undoable one.
What's the difference between 242 and 243?
Oh, I have no idea.
One. The difference is one.
This is tight enough to do most of the work for you. Once you're ready to fully pose it, then you can go ahead and tighten these screws, and this will lock your pose in for the foot. But you're not going to need to do that until the very end.
Okay.
That's left, and this is right. Right.
We're in the process of putting together the legs, right, of the chicken walker, and anatomically, I guess, as they designed it, there are like these anatomical features, right? Not just feet, knees, ankles. They also have this distinctive tendon, and the way it was designed is you have this piece.
Yep. Which is regular steel.
Yep. And they've included this piece of spring steel.
Yep.
And once you get that spring steel that you're putting on right at the top, it allows for the whole thing to flex and look like a tendon.
So this is something that actually highlights one of the amazing things that Phil Tippett brought to Jurassic Park, was that stop motion animators, people who sculpt things to move, have to be anatomists.
Yeah.
They have to understand all the underlying anatomy to understand how muscles move around the bones as they bend and turn. And this comes out of that kind of institutional knowledge, right? This isn't just an animator being like, oh yeah, I'm making the leg work. It's like, oh yeah, I'm adding in the most mission critical thing that every animal has.
Look at that. So you get this nice curve here.
That is really cool.
And then when that bends in, it slips in and you get, that's nice.
Yeah, it's really lovely.
Moving on.
All right. So we're using a little bit of, what do you call this? Holding technology that I really like, which is this business here. You see the little clip circling the pin here on this joint. And the pin has 2 holes in it. And those 2 holes are, the way you install this is you put a circlip plier into those holes, and it spreads the circlip ever so much and allows it to go over. And one of the advantages of this is it allows you to make a joint far narrower than any threaded nut would give you. It's a very, very fantastic way to bind 2 parts together, especially on a shaft like this. And some circlips go in and some go out, and I end up having like 10 freaking different pairs of circlip pliers to accommodate everything from tiny 2 millimeters up to, half an inch. They span the gamut, but I love how low profile they make the joints. And dude, this is legitimately animatable right now.
You're getting a lot of tension right here. I'm getting no tension. Is that just a matter of
I was going in and just
really
torquing down on those guys.
Got it.
Give it a little extra twisty poo. I don't mean to get technical. Dude, you know, so as I'm like doing this kind of business with these, it's fascinating to try and figure out. It's like, this is what I mean by tuning. Mm-hmm. So an animator would tune this so that as they moved one part, the whole thing would come in for them to the parameters they expect. Yeah. And that's like spending time with every single joint, adjusting it so that each of the joints works in concert with each other.
It's not like a magic arm where you have like one screw that can lock and loosen and lock in the whole thing.
Exactly. Exactly. It's a real bit of real finessing. But holy cow!
Just the points of articulation here. They can bow in and out of the hips.
Yeah, there's so much beautiful movement that's possible because of this. How lovely this mechanism is.
And this is the bare armature. I'm so curious. Once we get plastic parts on top of here, you're like, you know, how much of it will be exposed so we can actually still get some of this movement. Oh yeah.
Well, and I mean, to be really clear, when they built the AT-ATs, which is the same technology, the AT-ATs, I don't know that anyone had incorporated an animation armature into the design of a thing. Right. But there it was, and this is even more of that, right? Oh man, that looks really, really great. Hey, the heat's already working. I'm feeling it.
Go on the
I see. On the inside there. And then there's going to be another one that goes across it there, and then that comes over here.
Yes.
And then these join. Okay, that makes much more sense.
This place here, that has a little squeeze.
All right, time to check in. I'm having so much fun. This is such a deeply satisfying way to put a model together, because it's like all the ways in which you normally put a model together, except it's a level of fidelity to the original that you just never get.
And all the restoration's perfect.
Oh my gosh.
Very clear too. You know, it's not just square pegs. You got little offcuts here and there.
I also want to speak to their engineering, because where they have square pegs, there is always a loose fit, and they have consciously done that, I believe, so that if you want to pre-paint everything, you'll still be able to get it all together.
With the tolerances, yeah.
So that, yeah, they've just given you lots of wonderful latitude on that front.
I like at one point we're assembling the four components of the back of the head, and he mentions that this is like a part of a Porsche model kit. Like, how would you know this amorphous little L is the part of some random car model kit?
Well, it's like you buy it because one of the other parts in that kit is part of the thing, and then you look at all the sprue trees and you're like trying to go back and forth. It's a game of concentration, right? But it's society-wide. Amazing. We're done with the heads, yeah?
Yes, we're gonna let that glue cure a little bit. We also have our little turret sub-assembly.
Yep. And actually, we can do a rough kind of thing here and see. Boop boop. Look at that.
Wow.
Yep. Including.
Oh.
Yeah. I'm not going to force it
Oh
down,
my
but
God.
yeah, dude, that's a thing. This is very satisfying. All right, let me just see if this actually still fits in here. Oh,
The sleeve.
nice, very, very well done. All right,
We move forward.
we move forward. Moving on.
So we're going to line up these two parts.
Oh wow,
and
really?
they're going to intersect.
Do you not see any
So
of this
you see
detail?
none of that?
No! This is the cool part.
That's amazing. I so appreciate them making it. That's what ends up getting seen in the model, but they still did all of that modeling.
Yeah.
Wow. God bless them. All right. So do we glue that?
Yes.
Is that what it says?
Yep.
All right.
Off the portion.
Amazing.
We're going to pop off its little... One good thing about this glue is that once it is fully cured, if you do have any glue that is pressed out of position and you can see it, that glue is super easy to scrape off.
Oh, good.
So you won't have any...
Hey, Adam. Have we mentioned how fun this assembly is?
Really, really, really fun. I mean, this is just like... We could charge admission to something like this. This is like,
Oh my-
spend a few hours just doing this and shooting the shit and putting beautiful parts together.
It's why the garage kit is you're paying for the experience.
Yeah.
Right. It's more just having the thing. It's an understanding of the relationship of all the components.
Yeah.
Let's talk about what we got though.
Yep.
Okay. So let's start with the armature and the legs.
Yes.
Yeah. We've been gluing the cast pieces on top of the armature pieces.
The metal armature.
And not everything is covered, right? They have these. Not everything even is fully registered left or right. Some pieces are just kind of floating.
Yeah, they're not bilaterally symmetrical. This is basically a model built for camera, built for one shot.
Yeah.
And so the back of the legs is getting much less detailing.
Mm-hmm. There's a beauty side, right, on both left and right.
That's really cool. The idea of a beauty side is really neat. And it's not something that occurs to a lot of people. And I guarantee you, whatever like industrial model kits that came out of this did not necessarily go with the lack of chirality. With the
I'm realizing now the camera there. I gotta turn my camera side to camera.
yeah, I've got one of each here.
There it goes.
I've got the camera view and the non-camera view.
Here you go. And I love this look with clamps, clamping it on. The Gorilla Glue is gonna need like a day to fully set.
Yeah, I think we'll have these set up here today, but it'll be tomorrow morning first thing that we'll get to actually see them and move them around.
Yeah, yeah, very forgiving. And then sub-assemblies like this.
This is beautiful.
Fantastic.
And frankly, it highlights one of the difficulties the Merlin Models has in doing this is that they know that some model maker, might have been Lauren Peterson even, goes up into the loft, gets a bunch of model greeblies and starts to assemble them into something that feels machine-like. And then these guys have to go figure out what every one of these parts are, how to mold several of them at once, how to get them all. And it's ludicrous. It's a ludicrous amount of work. I'm so glad that they did it. Because again, a lot of garage kits that you would buy back in the day, this would all be filled in.
Yep.
You'd be adding the detail or dremeling out the spaces and stuff like that. Because it's under no circumstances is it easy to mold things this delicate, whether you're doing it industrially or personally.
And the way they've designed the kit with the registration for the plastic parts on top of other plastic parts.
Yeah.
Everything keys in pretty nicely.
Really? I agree. Yeah. Again, like I said earlier, with a lot of slop, with a good amount of slop for paint and all that. I know that there's going to be a moment soon when it all kind of shook, and I'm very excited about that.
I think next we're going to be doing this top rack.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh, dude, that's the part I'm most excited about.
This is a custom machine part. A thin.
I didn't even know.
I mean, like people who 3D modeled this, right? You could print something, but it would not look and feel and dimensionally have that same, anything like having a real machine part.
Also, you can only imagine how they went through, could we do this in plastic? And then deciding, nope, we've got to do it in metal, which is hard to do, but probably not as hard as doing this in plastic and having it last at all.
Okay, there are very specific instructions on how to get this onto the top with the hooks. So we're gonna pull those up and continue.
Okay.
And special features of the metal armature and metal parts, and that is we did this very cool aluminum roof rack. And not only did we do the roof rack itself, but we did all of the hooks that went with that roof rack. When we went through our prototype stage, we realized that this was probably the most injury-prone part of the entire model.
Yep.
This part broke more often than...
Put this on a surface. It's just going to be right here. Do you have toothpicks? I'm sorry, the base. Yeah. Yeah, I guess it's useful. Sure. Thank you.
De nada. Overnight, everything seems to have dried really nicely.
And I think we have basically all our sub-assemblies done.
I don't see any other plastic parts on the table
No,
except for these guys. That's it.
Yeah, yeah. The instructions are really clear. There are some parts that are extra delicate that might be better to do after you prime. So we will follow those instructions. And basically, we're ready to start putting things together.
So I've made us a couple of pieces of plywood with a countersunk cap head 1024 screw that fits the feet. I think we only need, as you were saying earlier, 1 foot mounted.
Sure. Yep. Yep.
And then so I really, really dig that there's no detailing on the off-camera side. This is like Star Trek Enterprise times 5. Yep. Like, this is just what the thing needed. So we're not detailing that at all.
We're not. I mean, I think what you might do in the final aestheticizing is you might write off camera as the original armature did.
This is, you could see in the original that it says off camera in pencil, and we're totally doing, I'm totally doing that.
Yeah. Man, I just gotta say, in the overnight sense going home, I've looked at pictures, like my folder of pictures of ATSTs, and I see them completely differently now. That is the fun part of doing a build like this.
It's getting those eyes.
Yeah, I've put together, like the Bandai Snapfit 1/48 scale ATST. They have one of these, and it's fine, it's great, but it's not. Everything is combined, right? They're composited pieces.
Of course they are. I mean, and that's the efficiencies you have to hit with injection molding at that scale, of course.
And after going through this, like I recognize the chirality of certain parts. Like everything looks different, which is part of why we do this.
This is, I mean, when I talk about the eyes, it's like there are folks that could walk into my cave and see 9 Stormtrooper helmets and tell me which movies each one was supposed to be from, but also which maker made each one of those replicas. And that's the kind of eyes I get from these kind of builds.
Okay, so let's put these together.
All right, I'm going to screw this foot in and then start to assemble. Yeah. I think that's where we're at.
And some stuff I'll do more press fit, some stuff just a little bit dab of CA.
I'm going to try and tune a little bit so I can make it a little easier to pose.
All right. Left leg.
And then I'm planning to prime this right here on the stand.
Yeah, let's do that.
Very soon.
Yeah.
Great. Yeah, that should be perfect.
Being able to tighten a joint
is so nice.
It's super nice.
Yeah, I agree. All right. Oh, okay. It's higher. Great.
I think it's that too. I think it pops out way more. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Oh, jeez. Oh. I hear cracking. Like, where can I hold this thing? Where can I hold it well? Oh, wow. Okay, yours is, okay, I'm inverted.
So this is the pose, it comes up like this. This is more vertical.
Yeah.
Actually, it's often slightly behind the vertical. Jeez. So it's more like maybe even this. And then these top 2 are on a real angle.
Oh my God. That's beautiful.
I'm so happy with that. Oh, man. I mean, what's really funny about looking at these pictures of the real thing is just how much this was. Execute this in a couple of days for this shot. I have been on the motion control stage at ILM and been asked by the camera, like, hey, we need something in the foreground. Can you just run back? You have 3 hours to give us something that will fill space. This isn't quite that. I just love seeing all the metal visible in the real thing. I'll tell you, also mucking with this makes me like have so much. I have done stop motion animation. I've known stop motion animators my whole life. My father was an animator. But I sit here with this and I think about trying to make this thing look like it's moving fluidly, where you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 12, 14, 18 points of articulation to manage. And like my hat goes off to the stop motion animators of the world, man. There we go. This is always my favorite part of the process. The transformation with the first primer coat is amazing to me. Just always ties everything together. All right, here we go. I tell you, it always feels like cheating using lacquer paints. They dry so fast and so thin and so hard. It's like, dude.
Oh my God, wow.
Ooh, all right, I'm not gonna touch this because it's still dry.
Bulbous part down.
Go.
Springs for hoses.
Dude,
Adam.
I am so freaking pleased with how this all came out. It is so pretty.
Oh my God.
Right?
Well, that primer.
Yeah.
I mean, first of all, the Tamiya primers.
The Tamiya primers are, there's this thing called the contractor's triangle. And the contractor's triangle is good, fast, cheap. And when you're ordering anything or commissioning anything, you can only have 2 of those. You can never have all 3. And with paint, you want paint to go on thin, dry hard and fast. And the Tamiya primers do the trifecta.
And it really, like, you can just tell the difference. I mean, the armature looks like it's part of the body.
Yeah, it instantly disappeared.
Yeah.
It was very,
scale, right?
Here is, you see the armature, and the moment you hit it with the gray, it just all disappears.
It becomes 1/24th scale.
Yeah. I'm going to have so much fun when the paint is dry, writing off camera on the off camera side. And I will eventually paint this. I love their blasted paint job that they were just trying to add some, like, a kind of value to it that was a little bit darker. I really dig that job.
Hey, a 1-day assembly. Almost exactly 24 hours.
It is exactly right.
Yeah.
We're stretching the definition.
I know. I'm still holding pieces in with CA glue. That's fine. Thank you, Merlin Models, for sending these lovely kits, for educating us on, the components and what it took.
These are some of them. This is some of the most fun I have ever had with what is still essentially a garage kit, but the highest end garage kit I've ever played with.
Yeah. Well, there's another ATST.
There will be another video as well.
Now for the basking.
Yes, exactly. I'm now going to bask. Thank you guys for joining us. We'll see you next time. Now I want to build the Bandai and put it right next to it.
The 148.
Yeah.
Force perspective.